podcast. My name is Holden, and I will be your host for the show. So today we're going to be diving in our first episode into the WTA Seoul 500 event here. It is the first big event on the women's calendar here after the U.S. Open. We had some smaller ones, some 250s right beforehand this previous week. Um, so before we dive into that, I wanted to talk about what we're going to get into before and after, just to introduce sort of our format for the show. So we'll start with a recap of the WTA events from the week prior. So who won, what stood out, and whether anything cool happened. Next, I'm going to share some quick updates from around the tour, including any news on withdrawals and injuries, etc. Next, after that, I'm going to try to each week pick one player as a standout, a rising star on the tour, someone you need to know about. So keep an eye out for that one, because these are the players that we will see in a few years be challenging some of the people we're watching right now. So after that, we're going to be getting into the breakdown itself. We're going to be going into the draw, the odds that were dropped, and kind of our full analysis based on what we have and the information gathered so far. I'm going to walk you through the key players to back, players to fade, and we'll check out some early match odds as well. So after that, I'm going to be giving, to kind of wrap up the show with the conclusion, I will give out any insights, any bets that we are on with our team. We appreciate you watching, and let's get into it. All right, so let's start up with the events from the previous week. So these tournaments are really meant for those players who have been maybe struggling with their form in the past few weeks on hard courts and generally want to sharpen up their form for the rest of the season. As you see a lot of the other players taking a week off after the US Open. So we're going to get into the first one, which was Guadalajara. It's actually still going on right now. The final is tonight between Emilia Arango and Iva Jovic. Um, so Arango, I believe, is 20 years old, and Jovic is 17 years old, and they're facing off on a hard court 500 final, which is very impressive to say the least, and to see this young talent do what they've been doing throughout the tournament. So just to get into their draws, Eva has gone through Kawa, Camille Orsario, um, Victoria Jimenez, Seva, and I apologize about mispronouncing these names. 90% of these names I cannot pronounce. She got through Bart Tunkova as well, which is a relative unknown. Haven't really heard of her much. And yeah, now she has Arango. Arango, on the other hand, got through Magna Lynette after Lynette retired in the first set. After that was completed, she got through Hunter in straight sets, the Canadian and Stakuzik in straight sets, and then she got through Jack and Motts as well, who is the dangerous French player. So this is her path to the final, which she then plays tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe when I last saw the odds, that Arango was about plus 160, started up plus 140. The odds kind of shifted. So interestingly enough, I think it should be a good match, and I'm excited to see that one. So the next one we have here is Sao Paulo, which is the hardcourt 250 event going on down there, and kind of a really unexpected final here as we have the relative unknown, and this name is one of the longest names on tour, so bear with me as well. Tiansa Sarah Rakotomanga Rajana versus Janice Tijen, right? So now Janice Tijen's name is a little nicer to say. So both players have done really well so far. We saw Sarah get through Renata Zarzura and a lot of tough competition to get here as a big underdog pretty much in each matchup. And we see Janice Tijen, who beat Alexandra Arella, however you say her last name, uh, in a tough match. So it's in a tough first set, really. And to see her now in a final, she's going to be a very dangerous player, to say the least. So we got Sarah who is now a pretty much a 3-1 dog in this matchup. So we should see Janice should get this done. Anyway, we're not betting on any of these tournaments. So if you do, good luck to you there. All right, so I figured next we can get into these tour updates in the news, so kind of the hot topics going on tour right now. Um, so I'm gonna skip over the whole Rune and Kalen Skaya situation. That's just something like way beyond me, relationship wise. I'm not the person I should be talking about that. So I hope Rune can figure that out though, because yeah, it sounds pretty rough for him though. Some bigger news though, Amanda Anisimova has withdrawn from this event in Seoul. She wrote on her Instagram after becoming uh, in the top five rankings after her runner up finish at the U.S. Open, saying, "I'm so sad to miss Korea this year, as I really enjoyed my time there last year, and she really hopes to be back next year." So kind of expected this one from her. Sabalenka obviously is not playing in this event. We see Anisimova now dropped out. Makes sense, making a deep run at the US Open. Maybe needs some more time to recover. So do not blame her there. But it does reshape the draw and it takes away one of the more dangerous people in the field for sure. So once we get into that, we'll explain how that affected the draw. On the other side, we and also the news that we're seeing, just in my perspective, we're seeing a really great version of I believe Emma Raducanu right now, and I'm not a huge Emma Raducanu fan, but we'll get into that a bit more. So nothing really hot topics about that, just like how I guess she's been just been playing some great tennis in my eyes, and yeah. So as far as that, that's kind of like the hot topics for today, and we're gonna move on next to the Rising Star Spotlight, which is somebody we already talked about today. It's Tianso, Sarah, Rocco Tamanga, Rajana. There's really not much to say for her beyond just at 19 years old, getting her first WTA final is huge, especially on a surface that she's not super familiar with. So, congratulations, everyone, including myself, is really excited to see the tennis player you're going to become. Keep grinding. You got this. All right, so before we dive into Seoul, let me tell you quickly about one of the most powerful Netslicer tools that we have, our ATP and WTA library. This is the engine behind the platform, deep historical data, player matchups, and surface splits you won't find anywhere else. It's designed to help bettors see what the market misses. Roll the clip. Let's say this hypothetical matchup between Emma Raducanu and Ekaterina Alexandrova. With a professional membership, one of the main perks of our website is our models, where you can check to see, based on our market proven model, who would win the matchup on each of the three main surfaces: hard courts, clay, and grass. Get this, on the entire WTA and ATP tours. Why is this important? Well, it helps you analyze draws and potential matchups, find undervalued and overvalued players, and build a mental library of which players perform best on certain surfaces. To check this out for yourself, use the sign up page on our main page to choose professional and unlock this feature, as well as many more features to help refine your betting strategy and profits. All right, so let's set the scene for Seoul. Um, I'm going to show the odds here, and I want you to go ahead and take a look to see, throughout me talking, the odds of the players, which does account for a lot of my analysis. So the Seoul 500 event returns as the pretty much earliest first real 500 WTA event after the US Open. You can count Guadalajara. Conditions are very key here. So let me just break this down. We are seeing damper, slower conditions this upcoming week in Seoul. We're talking a,
a city that's already low altitude, so we're going to see probably very slow ball movement with a high drag. Courts definitely will be played slower. It's going to reward the patient players. These heavy hit servers are going to have to be a little bit more patient because these patient players putting the top spin on it and the counter punchers I think are going to do very well. So aggressive flat hitters are definitely going to have to adapt. Here, first strike tennis is much riskier in these conditions, I'd say. Um, I mean, with Iga being in this and Iga liking slower conditions and being in decent form, it's looking like she's a clear front runner. And with odds of minus 120, totally makes sense. Motivation is another big factor this week. After a slam, we always see some split motivations. Some players come hungry for points and momentum heading into the indoor swing, and others are looking to reset and may potentially check out early. So it's important, and this is why I really like to tell everyone to wait and be patient in the first round in qualifying. Don't bet at all. Gather that information so you can attack round two, and so on and so forth until the final. Patience is key, especially in this game that we play. So some key storylines for this, as I do the overview here. Iga enters as the overwhelming favorite. Obviously, she is minus 120, and the next favorite is Alexandrova at plus 500, and Towson at plus 550. Um, so the conditions suit her perfectly, essentially. The only question is how motivated she is after, you know, the US Open after a loss there. And I would say not looking as dominant as we have seen Iga play. Bear in mind that if Kaylin Skyla served and absolutely wreck her when she was serving for the first set, she could have potentially continued and won on that match. I don't know what happened. I don't think she knew what happened. Um, Iga though, I'm just not really convinced with her at the time. And though the conditions do suit her, I'm excited to see how she will go throughout this tournament. I would never bet somebody at minus 120 to win a tournament that I'm not extremely confident with. So, um, gonna just put that off to the side there. Emma Raducanu, with that wild card, is dangerous. She's looking to rebuild her ranking, and she's been playing better tennis than the raw numbers potentially do suggest. Um, because we do see her come in and um, have a lot of motivation. I think for this event, as she is 5-2 here overall, and she is somebody who has been playing some tough competition, losing to some very tough competition over the past few months here, few weeks. And I think she's very due, and she's very potentially a finalist here. So her odds, she's 13 to 1, and now at least. So it's crazy to see, she's the fifth favorite here. And I couldn't agree with that more. I think that is a bet I will take, to be honest. And I would like to see how she does in the first round, especially against a tough matchup where she has to play, I believe it's Jacqueline Christian. Let me see here. Yeah, Jacqueline Christian, which I don't think is going to be an easy one by any means. I think Jacqueline Christian has been playing some tough competition herself over the past few weeks. So, but getting through that and getting through that easily would be for me a big confirmation that yeah, I think Emma can go deep in this tournament. So next, Ekaterina Alexandrova has a clean draw at the bottom half. We'll get into that more in a second here. So those slow conditions don't really, I would say, suit her natural. She is a 2022 champion here. So obviously these courts do suit her in some way, shape, or form. And then we have Kasakina, Towson, and Sophia Kinnan all coming in with question marks. Obviously Kinnan, I think, it's like lost 5 or 6 matches in a row. She's got to do something. She really does. Claire Towson has been in not great form since beating Iga. a while ago, and Kasatkina is just kind of like a fireball. I really don't know what to think of her a lot of the times, and she does have a decent record here, but overall, just somebody I probably can't back right now just due to her form. Whether it's motivation, fit, or form, like I said, those three I'm going to try to stay away from. Now, I kind of want to go into the quarter by quarter draw here, just to talk about essentially how we're going to get through these quarters, how these players are going to get through these quarters, and their paths to victory if it happens. So I want to start off in Swiatek's section, which is section one here. So as we can see, she has that first round bye, and then she either plays Sorana Christie, excuse me, Sorana Sir, Suristia. Again, sorry about these pronunciations. This video, um, which I would expect her to get through that one, and then she potentially has that matchup between Emma Raducanu, Barbara Krejcevich, or Jacqueline Christian, which I believe Emma Raducanu can get to. The thing is with her is Emma's really never done well against top 10. I believe in the past 52 weeks, she's like 1-9, excuse me, or something really like bad like that. So I wouldn't go off on a tangent to say like, oh, I think, you know, Emma can beat Iga any day of the week. It's going to take a specific situation. And if we can get that, I think Emma would be in a really, really good spot to win this tournament. And if that could happen, big things for her. She's been kind of floating the past few weeks, and I think she's due for a real winner. So um, at the end of the day, her flat counterpunching can bother Iga if she serves well, but in slow conditions again, Iga's top spin is probably going to dominate. Uh, Krejcikova or Serstia. Um, Krejcikova did well at the U.S. Open here. Serstia is somebody I wouldn't necessarily just blindly fade by any means. So I would say between them two, I wouldn't know who to essentially go with there, but that's just a potential matchup that I don't even think we're going to be really seeing anyway. So the bottom line is unless Swatek comes in flat, she's going to probably cruise through. If not, she's probably going to get stomped. Uh, and if she does get stomped, I think it's going to be Emma. I think she's due for a top 10 win, and I would love to see that. So next we're going to go into the quarter two, which is Claire Towson's section. So Claire Towson's power is blunted by the heavier conditions, so her second serve is still really a liability. Like I said, I don't really trust a lot of her form right now. So this is really Towson's section, but I mean, you have some dangerous floaters. If Sophia Kennan can get her stuff together, I think she's a very dangerous um, seeded seven seed right here, as well as having by a joint who's had a pretty decent season. Eva Lies, who's I don't say that good, but like is I would say is more of a slam, does better in slams for whatever reason. And she's up against a tough one in the first round against Ashlyn Kruger. I really can't see anybody in this quarter necessarily winning the final. I'd be very surprised. But this is a quarter that you could see a potential long shot making. So, I would analyze it a bit deeper, but Sophia can, like I said, if she can pull that together, she's somebody I would pick, but I probably wouldn't touch this quarter with a 39.5 pull there. Next, we're going to get into Kasakina's section. So she's got Snader, Susan Layman's, Tatiana Maria, a qualifier, Sonyan Park, and then Daria Kasakina obviously has that bye in the first round there. So, you know, Kasakina's style does fit Sale a lot, but her motivation is always the big question. Post slam, what can we really expect from her at this point? Schneider just won a title on hardcore about a month ago in Monterey. So with lefty prowess on her side, benefits from the slower bounce. It's just like the lack of consistency from her end, and I just think with some of the higher end people in this draw that she's going to struggle. So this quarter does feel open as well as the second quarter to me. Like I do feel like somebody could get out of this one. I would lean Casakina to do it, but again, I probably wouldn't touch it. And then finally, we get into the fourth quarter. And this is the quarter with Alexandrova, and we have the previous champion in Beatrice Hadid Maya, um, as well as some other qualifiers. And then you have Louise Boyson, who was the random French lady who did super well at the French Open, and since then has really not done anything. Actually, excuse me, she did win a title on clay, specifically on a hard course. I don't think she's really done anything, and she's not really a hard court player by any means. Somebody I would actually look to fade early in this tournament. Um, if she gets through her first matchup, which she's a minus 300 favorite to do so, she should do so. But again, I just like don't have that trust in her. And then she has Alexandrova. So I don't know how you could go about trying to back Boyson here. And then as far as Beatrice Hadid Maya, she's playing decent lately. If she's fit, she plays well. And you know, she won this tournament, like I said last year. I think she can maybe win a set if she were to play Alexandrova, but I don't think she can beat her. I don't think that would happen. So I mean, Ekaterina's flat baseline game usually thrives on quicker courts, so Seoul is going to be a bit slower this week, so it's going to may potentially hurt her. And maybe why the odds 5-1 I was like a little thrown off by, but then again we have Iga as the front runner, and I could see it. The good news is here, her draw is pretty clean, like I just said. So being Boyson, I think if she can get through Beatrice Adiz Maya, and then I definitely think she can beat Casapina. So at the end of the day, her serve is going to be key. She needs to adjust early if any problems arise. She's my pick to come out of the bottom section, um, and somebody I would consider to take and win this tournament. So just in summary, Swiatek is a clear favorite on the top half. Raducanu is the dark horse on the top half. Alexandrova is the cleanest path to the final. She's on the bottom half, and then Towson and Kasakina, their quarters look like fades to me. So if you could try to find value on a pick that you like in their quarters, I would do that. Just wanted to wrap up and conclude the podcast here, and I just wanted to give some of my last thoughts here. So first, Iga is priced as the heavy favorite for a reason at around 30% outright probability based on the ELO and service factors to win the tournament. She's the clear number one option. But motivation, post US Open is the X factor last season. She didn't play for a few months after the US Open, so this time of year for her could be a little unfamiliar because she missed that last season. Alexandrova is the best pick from the bottom half. She has a clean draw, proven success record here, and about a 14% win probability of the tournament. So another person we're trying to eye up is Raducanu, as discussed earlier. She's the dark horse. She's around 12% chance to win the whole event as well. If she can make it through the early rounds, we think that could snowball into a final where we can hedge if we needed to. So we're fading Claire Towson. We're fading Daria Kasakina, especially Towson. I think just not the conditions for her necessarily. I think the odds are a bit mispriced at her around plus 500. I could see a plus 750 for her, but I just couldn't back her at that price anyways. Um, but the pick I'm going to go with for the first round, and like I said, I don't really bet these. It's just more of like if I were to pick any bet on the board, this is one I would go with. I think I mentioned it earlier with Louise Voisin just not being a hard court specialist in any means. She hasn't won a hard court match in 6 months. Now she has to go against a hometown favorite in Yiwon Ku. Um, so the odds are about minus 300 for Boyson to win, which I wouldn't put Boyson to win minus 300 against anybody on hard courts. especially some no name that actually I'm not even too familiar with at all in Yuan Wu Hu. But I'm willing to back her here at plus 4.5 games on FanDuel at around minus 115, minus 118. Like I said, the hometown favorite um, against a Lois Boyson who has a lot of question marks on the hardcourt surface. So that will be it as far as the tournament goes. My official Netslicer insights that will be posted on the site. So with specific match and staking recommendations as well. So we give you the pick, and then we also are going to give you, based on the bankroll that you enter on the homepage, it's going to give you a percentage what you should bet on each insight slash bet that we do post on our site. Um, so just keep everything in mind as you bet to round one. So that is the breakdown for sale. If you want access to the full betting insights, advanced analytics, the models, the odds screen, the community blog, the bet tracker, the list goes on and on. Whether you're just starting out or betting professionally, we've built this platform to help you have an edge and have everything right in front of you to have that edge. So thank you for tuning in to the Netslicer podcast, our first version. Enjoy the action from Seoul. Good luck with your bets. I'm going to see you next time, which will be for uh, most likely, I think we'll do the semis, excuse me, the quarters, and then the semis, and then the finals, or either just the semis and the finals. More to come there, as we will be doing the men's side as well, where we have the ATP Hangzhou and we have ATP Chengdu to get into as well, which starts on the 17th. More to come there. So good luck to you. Good luck with any bets that you do place. And until next time, I'm out.